Hey everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to the first budget decks video of the new expansion that launched last week, The Great Dark Beyond. And it's going to be a little different, a little bit of the same in terms of content for this video. We'll get right into it. So looking at the win rates, listen, it looks like Mage and Shaman and Hunter are dominating. There are some outliers there. Every class is represented for some point. We even have some Priest budget decks that we'll get into. But, you know, you're looking at this and you're seeing like, oh, Warlock's doing terrible and Rogue is just doing terrible. There's some conversations we're going to have about that because, you know, myself, I am not a fan of that Quasar Rogue or whatever it is. It's unfun, excuse me, but there are some people playing it. But when you look at some of the numbers, it's like, no, it's terrible, and it's not a good win rate at all. But we'll dive into that. Looking at just, you know, from the expansion launch right now, Bronze to Gold. Below 5,000 dust, above 50% win rate. You just see it right here. It's just very, very simple to understand. It's Rainbow Shaman and Elemental Mage that are tier 1. And while there's a lot of tier 2 opportunities here, a lot of them, it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting a huge shakeup, and I don't know why I was expecting that. I'm not shocked at Elemental Mage. I did say from the beginning that the Elemental cards for Mage were going to be nutty, and they absolutely are. Breaking it down by class a little bit, I mean, there's a lot of options, though. A lot of options. Death Knight is well represented in the win rates. Lots of options there. Highlander. Listen, people are complaining right now that people are playing Reno. People are playing Highlander. I think it's fun. I love Reno. I'm sorry if you guys are playing against me because I am playing a little bit of this Highlander Rainbow. Death Knight, it's fun for me. Yeah, Pirate, Demon Hunter is the only thing on Demon Hunter right now. Crewmate is very fun. It's just, I don't think it's ready yet. I don't think it's 100% refined yet. And you can tell right here, the popularity is really low right now. Everybody just looking for those wins. Druid has Taunt and Dungar. There's not a lot of new things for both of those decks. It's just nothing new here. Hunter's got some normal, some of the same. There's like a Death Rattle Egg Hunter running around. I think it's good. I don't think it's 100% refined yet, but people are winning above, you know, Platinum and Diamond or what have you, Bronze, Gold, Silver, not so much. Breakfast Hunter is pretty good, and then Spell is what it normally is. Spell Hunter is amazing. Mage, you really have, you know, two. You have Big Spell Mage, but, you know, no one's playing Big Spell Mage right now. I see a lot of Elemental Mage decks. It's super cheap. It's awesome. I mean, look at the number here. The popularity is just much higher. The amount of games is much higher. Elemental Mage is beating everything out in terms of a lot of the win rates, and Big Spell Mage, it's there, it's strong, but it's not as strong as it used to be. Paladin, I don't see anymore the hand buff Paladin being too far up once they hit once you hit gold. I just don't see it, and it's not as budget friendly as it used to be. There is that hand buff Paladin that was like 720 dust up until about 10 days ago, and then it just started slowly declining. It's still viable for a couple of levels, but no one's really playing it. And then Libram is just not there yet. I had such high hopes for Libram. I'm gonna test it out, you know, a little bit more. I'm gonna check it out in a couple of days or what have you. It's just not really there right now. But there's, you know, there's some Tourist, Earthen, Flood, what have you. Mining Paladin is 51.2%. Wow. Priest does not look good, but we're going to talk about Priest because there's a couple of things. First time in a long time that we've had a budget Priest deck that looks fun. Maybe not 100% ready for, you know, hey, listen, you're going to go higher than Bronze to Gold, but it's good. And then Rogue here. Listen, you look at this Quasar Rogue, and we're going to get into it more. We'll actually get into it right now here. Quasar Rogue and all the other rogues look terrible except for Dagger Rogue, and you're like, what's going on? No one's playing it. And then you go over here and you see the second most popular deck right now, all regions, since the game launched, has been Quasar Rogue after Elemental Mage. And that's nutty. You're like, what are you talking about? You know, I don't see the win rates anywhere. But if you dig in, this is through, you know, HS Guru, there's games there. There's 100% Quasar Rogue and Cycle Rogue and Dagger Rogue. That's there. You can play that. I don't like Quasar Rogue. I'm not a fan of it at all, but it's there. It's not totally broken. It's not a tier 1 deck or what have you. So if we have something that's broken that, you know, that doesn't win a lot of games, or it doesn't have a huge, crazy 70% win rate, I'm okay with it. It's just, I'm nervous here when I see this as like the second most played in popularity's sake since the launch. And then, you know, what happens when it really gets refined? What happens when the mini set comes out? We might have some problems. But of course, there's going to be, you know, there's going to be nerfs or buffs or what have you. And to break it all out, yeah, Shaman has some good pieces here. The only thing is, and we've talked about it before, besides Burn Shaman, everything else is just super expensive for this video. It's just, these are not budget-friendly decks, but they're super fun. Elemental Shaman, I'm playing a little bit more. Asteroid Shaman, don't look at this 46.3%. It's fun, it's broken, it's busted, it's nutty, and it'll win you some games. Warlock, you have Hand Warlock and Pain Warlock. Nothing else is going crazy right now. I think there's going to be something there with the Space Warlock with the starships or what have you. I just didn't see anything right now that would be like, yeah, let me put it on here. And then Warrior's up there, but Warrior doesn't have a lot of new things, if you will. Taunt Warrior, which we're used to that. Odin Warrior, and then Highlander Warrior, Dummy Warrior. There's some nutty stuff that you can do with the Dummy Warrior and the one that robot that hits you a bunch of damage. Just nothing like, oh my god, right here, and nothing for a budget perspective, if you will. So we went over popularity. Let's go into 4 decks. We're going to get a mixture of, you know, stuff that we've talked about a little bit before, and then brand new things that we haven't talked about in a long time. Corpsicle, Death Knight. And the reason I put this in here, it's 4,420 dust with a 57.8% win rate. I put this in here in case you didn't have a lot of cards from the new expansion, because it's a strong deck. It can fight a lot of pieces, if you will, and you've probably seen it before. You've probably been able to play it, so it's easier to play than some of the new, you know, tactics that are going on right now. Really, the only thing different in this deck is this has Ethereal Oracle, and I'm not shocked that this is one of the strongest cards being played right now from the entire set, because it's just 3 mana, 2/3, something on board. It's got spell damage. Everybody loves spell damage. And then the spell burst is draw 2 spells. So it gives you the card draw that you need. It's just very versatile. And plus, it's not a legendary. You can put 2 of these in your deck if you need to. So if you're looking for cards to put in and you don't have a lot of dust to craft new cards, this might be something you should put in your deck 100%. But this is just essentially the same thing that we talked about before. You know, get a lot of corpses through the cards that you're playing, and then you have Corpsicle to round out things. And this is deal 3 damage, not deal 3 damage to an enemy, and just going back and forth. Gorgonzormu is one of the best cards of this deck. Leroy Jenkins, we know what Leroy Jenkins do. You can add some, you know, buffing possibilities in here. There's a lot of versatility you can do with this. This is not just, oh, it has to be these cards. If you're missing for some reason, if you're missing Drink Server, put in another card that you have, you know, in your deck. It's very versatile, and you can build from this. And listen, it's not going to get you further up. It's very consistent right now. It's not going to go crazy. You're not going to go up to, you know, Diamond and Legend with this deck. But if you don't have a lot of dust, this is where you could start, and there is a new card in it from the new expansion. Next up, we're going to talk about Elemental Mage. Look at the win rates. Went low and then all the way back up. Elemental Mage is pretty busted. Elemental Mage, not only is there so many that we can play, there is so many options here. If I look at this right here, to give you an idea of what type of decks we're playing here, we're just going to talk about it for just 1 second. Go look at Elemental Mage, how many options you have. And most of these are below 5,000 dust. Some of these are below 2,000 dust. This is the one I picked. There's a lot of things that you can do. You saw how many decks there are. This is just essentially using elementals. You know, Tainted Remnant, you know what that does. 7 damage randomly split among all enemies. You have Sleet Skater. This one's one of the craziest mage cards ever. I love it. This is the one that freezes the enemy minion and then gain armor equal to its attack. It helps when there's big things on board. There's Spontaneous Combustion. This one's new. There's Blazing Acceleration, Accretion, whatever. It's a blazing something, lamplighter or what have you. There are so many options here. Saroon is a card that you can put in if you got that legendary card. Like I said, there's so many different decks that you can play with elementals. It's essentially, listen, put elementals, put fire spells, you'll be good to go. Across the board, there's so many options here that you can work with. You know, Saroon's in a lot of these decks, absolutely. So like this one right here, this one's 2880 dust for 65%, 66.5% win rate. There's just so many, but this is the one that I used here only because it was 1440 dust. This is a good starter elemental mage for you to get, you know, get going with this if you do not have a lot of dust. And of course, don't forget all of the deck codes are in the description like they always are. Next up, Fishing Priest. This one, I saw the win rates. This is what caught my eye to Fishing Priest. First of all, it's 4,680 dust. Second of all, we have not talked about Priest in forever, since like Undead Priest or what have you, or the Shadow Priest from even longer than that. But this one's at a 51.6% win rate. I like this. Like I said, I saw the win rate. I'm like, holy, wow, that's pretty big. So looking at it right now, popularity is not that great. Priest has never had a huge popularity, you know, in any of the metas in the past maybe 2 years, maybe 2 expansion cycles. Don't quote me on that as an exact or what have you. But this one, listen, this one's, what is Fishing Priest about? Fishing Priest is about, you have Trusty Fishing Rod, which is after your hero attacks, summon a 1-cost minion from your deck. What are the 1-cost cards, you may say? Crimson Clergy. And Crimson Clergy likes to do the overheal thing. You'll be able to grab these out, and then there's just pieces that you can build together to make yourself more opportunities to beat your opponent. There's Fan Club, restore 3 health to all friendly characters. Listen, that's a good location, but why do you need that? You need that because there is a couple of cards that as soon as you make, look at that, restore 3 health to all of the friendly minions, gain +1/+1 for each one overhealed. It's going to be easy to heal all this. Hidden Gem, at the start of your turn, restore 2 health to all friendly minions. So you're healing those minions, you're keeping them on the board. This one, Orbital Halo, gives a minion +2/+1 on Divine Shield. Cost 0 if you played an adjacent card this turn. Pet Parrot, repeat the last 1-cost card you played. So you'll be able to repeat any of those 1-cost cards. You have Anchorite. When another minion is overhealed, give it that much extra health. This is a great card. This is what helps that overheal and helps those really low-cost spells make a difference. You've got Chillin' Vol'jin. Choose 2 minions, swap their stats. You could do some crazy stuff whether you're attacking your opponent or making something crazy with your board state. Maybe you have a minion that's ready to hit right now that's a 1/1, and then you got a 7/7. Just swap that. It's a good deck to be messing around with, if you will. This one here, Holy Nova. Holy Nova does great. It's, you know, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions and then restore 2 health to all friendly characters. There's Pip the Potent, so copy each 1-cost card in your hand so you'll be able to get more of those 1-cost cards. And then Ambient Light Spawn. Finale and Overheal. You're going to overheal a lot with this deck. So give another random friendly minion +2/+2. So you're going to put the board together. You're going to have an unbeatable board that's just difficult to attack and, you know, kill. And you're just going to keep on going with that. There's so many opportunities to just flood the board with small minions and just win the game. And then Royal Librarian silences. Royal Librarian should be in more decks because it just silences a minion. And there's so many crazy minions that are out there right now. If you have this and you're a budget player, Royal Librarian is one that I would absolutely consider putting into decks. Burn Shaman is the next one we're going to talk about. This one's 3,960 dust with a 61.8% win rate. This is a lot of what we've seen in the past with Burn Shaman, but there's a couple of differences. So First Contact's in there, summon 2 random 1-cost minions, and the overload is 1. This is a great card to get in the first stop because, yeah, listen, you're going to get those 1-cost minions. Even if you hit that, I would try to mulligan for this every day of the week, because your overload you're not really too worried about, and then you've got 2 1-cost minions in your hand that'll like hit the board or keep you from getting attacked if they have taunts, what have you. Flow Rider, if you're overloaded, discover a spell from your deck. Hey, look, another spell. Lightning Bolt, we know what that does. Miracle Salesman, Murloc Growfin. I didn't like this one when it first came out. I was like, this isn't that great. But man, those little 8/8 ones, when you gigantify, it's a little nutty that you can put 2 8/8s on the board with just, 8 mana. It's nuts. Novice Zapper, spell damage, overload, overdraft. So overload a bunch of stuff and then, use that much damage to either kill, a minion on the board or your opponent's face or what have you. Pop-up Book, a great card, 1-cost card that deals damage and then also puts those taunts on just to keep yourself from getting hit in the face. Spirit Claws has 2 attack while you have spell damage. It's kind of easy to get spell damage, kind of. Ancestral Knowledge. So you see there's a bunch of overloads in here. Cactus Cutter, draw a spell. If you cast it this turn, gain +2, +1, +2, and taunt. Melted Magma, we know what this is going to do. You want this to get pretty high with, your Blood Mage Thalnos that does spell damage, and then your Novice Zapper. You could clear some boards with that. And then this one here, Ethereal Oracle. We've talked about this. This one is a very good card. Draws you spells with the spell burst, spell damage +1. You could do some nutty stuff. And then it has Golganeth in here, the Titan. Titans will be here until the end of, the standard expansion when they roll out, going back into wild and just being wild. Titans are a pretty safe craft for at least the next 4 or 5 months. And then Ziliax. When is Ziliax going to be gone? Ziliax is just everywhere. So that's this deck. Not too difficult to pilot. It's pretty good. I don't know if this deck would turn into a stronger Shaman deck over time as you go through the ladder, but the win rate's pretty good. So let's give this one a shot. And then last up for right now, I just wanted to look at the cards. Neutral cards only from the Great Dark Beyond, just to see what percentage of the cards are being played right now. The best ones and the lowest ones. Nothing shocks me here that the Ceaseless Expanse is pretty high up there on the play rates, and the same thing with Ethereal Oracle. It's just 2 cards that are just really awesome. This one here, just set it and forget it. Just throw it in your deck if you have it, and then just boom, it destroys all other minions. Doesn't destroy any portals or anything like that. I do not think it destroys any starships before they're being built, but it's a good deck. Good card, excuse me. Kill Jaden. I did not think this one was going to be as awesome as it was. I see people putting this in their decks that have no type of synergy with it, just as a last chance hurrah type of thing, and it works pretty well. And then Moonstone Mauler. I'm not shocked at this one too. Shuffle 3 asteroids in your deck that deal 2 damage to a random enemy when drawn. If you have it, just throw it in there. This could be a win condition for you if you just have a mishmash of cards. It's also an elemental too, so there is decks that you can probably see on here from the mage perspective that are putting this in, the elemental mage. Same thing, Exodar is good. Eridar Brute is a very good card. Dimensional Core. Let's look at the lowest ones. The ones I'm shocked about. So, a couple of things. I'm shocked that Light Fuse Mana Saber is only got a 0.02% index. It's a great card. Maybe it's just because it's just too much mana. It costs too much or what have you. But a 6 mana 6/6, you throwing this out on 7 with a 1-cost spell, you got Divine Shield's pretty good. Plus it's a rush. Star Scale Constellar. I can understand right now why this is not, anything crazy right now. But I can see this being in decks absolutely, where this just throw it on the board, another quick spell, and then boom, it's an 8/7. Pretty big for 5 mana. Deep Space Curator 2. This is another one that shocked me. All of these are kind of shocking me a little bit. This one here, get a random minion of the spell's cost, set its cost to 0. So I don't know. I think we'll see these. It's obviously way too early. Brain Guild, that makes this was perfect for me. I want them to give me more Murlocs, but they gave us 1 Murloc and give all friendly Murlocs Death Rattle draw a card. When was the last time you've seen Murlocs be in a deck? It's just not there. They're just not there. Like, maybe this is something for the future. Murlocs in space, let's go. I would take Murlocs in space. Give me an entire mini set with Murlocs in space. I'm ready for it. Perplexing Anomaly. I think it's a great card, but it's just not being used right now. But it's elemental, mutating life form. To me, this one had, I put it in a couple of decks to play around with it, and it just doesn't do anything really. Every once in a while it'll be good, but by the time I'm getting back to my turn again, when it's surviving damage, it doesn't last long at all. So I get that. Doom Maiden makes sense here, no problem. That makes sense. This one's a disappointment because there's the signature card for this. The signature card looks awesome. The art for this looks awesome, and it's elemental. I would thought that you would have it in a little bit more elemental decks, whether it's the elemental mage or the elemental shaman. It's just not there. But yeah, that's it. Please let me know what decks you're playing right now. I want to know what decks are, you're doing the greatest at, what decks you're looking for, what decks you think are underpowered, overpowered, which ones do you think are sleepers? Because listen, it's been a week, not even a full week. So there's going to be some nutty stuff coming out. We just haven't seen it yet. Like I said, the Egg Death Rattle Hunter or what have you, that deck I think is something's there that's going to put that way higher on the win rates. It's just good, very good. Thanks as always to hsreplay.net. I wouldn't be able to do all of these videos without their help. Buy the premium subscription because it's just amazing. It's worth every penny. And then also HS Guru, who's also just as valuable when I'm trying to make sure that I have all the data there. Another perspective is always good when you're talking about statistics. And yeah, listen, if you like what I'm doing, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.